To Poetry Lockdown. We are at day 106. I am delighted to bring you the third poem so far in our 106 poem series. That's by Father Joseph Brown, Jesuit priest, terrific poet. One of the things that I have really enjoyed about this whole series is that it's been responsive, right? It's cool to be able to hear from you all, to let poems talk to each other. Might even have a few guest lockdown interpreters and readers, which would be really fun. Already reached out to a few of you who said you're interested in doing that, so that's exciting, something to look forward to. But also there's poems that I'll read that other folks will say, oh, that reminds me of this. And so Father Brown has been super generous in his responsiveness to the series. And last week when I did some Peter poems, you might remember there was a Witness to Process, that lovely poem by Anna Kamienska, that really allowed us to enter into Peter's betrayal. And then I did one of my own poems, Peter Remembers the Cleansing of the Temple. And then Father Brown sent me an email. He said, hey, it's funny that you were reading these Peter poems. I did sort of a sequence of them. And so I asked for them and said I'd love to share one of those. And so this is from one of his Petrine sequence, really, really lovely poem. And so just to kind of give you a little context for entering this poem, it really takes place, if I'm understanding the context of it, after Jesus has died. The disciples don't know what to do. Obviously, that their leader is gone. Peter's a fisherman, and so he's doing some fishing, and that's really where this takes off. Right? So it's called The Shore. Peter Remembers, and it's written in his voice. The days choked me. No place we walked, no tree, no well, no wall could keep the wound from searing, bleeding. So when brother said, let us take the boat and seek fish, it was automatic. I can do that and not think. And I kept thinking. We all did. Nothing remained but our amputated hearts. Where can we go? Sailing Tiberias sea is nowhere far enough. 2. The voice stopped us, confused the sense of time, dreamlike we cast nets as we were bid, and when the weight was inescapable, I knew. Oh God, I knew. Oh God, I knew that I had lied all along. I had not quit the shores of hope. I had not sailed into despair. I knew and found breath to leap toward the voice. 3. He handed me the food and forced my eyes into his. What was left of love. I shook. My body embarrassed me with its stiff response. Not here, not now. And I trembled. What is left to love? And I wept for all the lies I had lived. What is left? 4. To love, to crawl out of the cave of my own devising, to love, to feed, to leap when I am called into air, into nothingness. He handed me a meal and told me to feed them until there is nothing left to love. It will be enough. Love that poem. That last part made me cry the first time I read it. So I'd like to say, what do I admire about this poem? I admire so much about it. I love that we are all able to enter into the personal I voice of Peter and really make it our own. This is one of my favorite Bible stories in terms of that last part where Peter is on the shore. He's jumped into the sea to get to Jesus first, and then he gets there and Jesus is so tender with him, and he asks him those 3 questions. But I love the repetition of left to love, left to love. And I don't know if this was intended by Father Brown, and you can be in touch with me, Father Brown, to let me know. But I couldn't help catch echoes of a beautiful play that I read with my students, Raisin in the Sun. If you remember that play, at one of the key final moments, one of the main characters, Walter, has really betrayed his family. He has lost the money from the insurance from his father. He was going to inherit in a liquor store, loses that money, and they were going to move into like an all-white neighborhood. And this Mr. Lindner from that neighborhood association said, "We don't want you here." And they were going to move anyways. But because he'd lost the money, he had said, "No, we're going to make a deal with Mr. Lindner. We're not going to move in." And his sister is so angry that he's willing to do this. And she says, after he says, "This is what we're going to do. Like, I'm going to make this decision for our family." She says to Mama, I looked over the script. She's like, Mama says, "I thought I taught you to love Walter," because Benita's saying, what all that he's done, be on my side once. And then Benita says, "Love him. There is nothing left to love." And Mama says, "There is always something left to love." And I just mentioned that because, one, if you haven't read the play, check it out, Raisin in the Sun. It's amazing. There's a number of film versions. But also just this idea that the betrayal of Peter is not just like a story that we stand outside and look at. We are all Peter, right? We have all done that. We all wonder if there's anything left. And the voice of Mama is, to me, the voice of God saying there's always something left to love. And I love that Father Brown in the poem turns the nothing left to love into a positive, right? At the end of this poem, with really, it's about feeding. He handed me a meal and told me to feed them until there is nothing left to love. So I love that the phrase has kind of been turned on its head and gains power in that last use of the phrase. So again, my 2 cents as an interpreter, but Father Brown, thank you for sharing this beautiful poem. Thank you all for listening. Hope you have a great rest of your day.